So good morning, everybody in Facebook world. Here we are again at the Cancer Support Community of Delaware. And I'm Jessica Lewis, and I'm an accredited Tai Chi Chih instructor. I'm also certified as a Tai Chi Fit and a Tai Chi for Veterans instructor. That, by the way, that's a federal program, which is cool. I own a company called Sculpt Your Life. And the reason why I call it Sculpt Your Life, as in you are the sculptor, you're the artist of your own life, the creator of your own life, is because I'm not only am I certified to teach a number of different relaxation techniques, including a couple different styles of Tai Chi, but I'm also a master personal trainer and a certified nutritional counselor. And it's been my own personal experience, as well as my experience working with a lot of people over the last 17 plus years, that when it comes to our health and well-being, it's really as if all of us are sort of perched up on top of a three-legged stool. Did you know a tripod is the most stable structure in the entire universe? Isn't that interesting? So here we are sitting on this three-legged stool, each one of us. And you can shorten up one of the legs, like a lot, and still keep your seat. I mean, you'll start to lean over, but you can still keep your seat. But if you whoop one leg away, you're just going to be on your butt at no time flat, right? So what I do in my work is I help people move well, eat well, and relax well, because those are the three essential legs of that stool we're all sitting on. But today, like I do every time I'm at the Cancer Support Community, I'm just going to talk about Tai Chi. In fact, I'm just going to talk about Tai Chi Chih. Between you, me, and the fence post, it's my favorite style of Tai Chi of all. Did you know there's like 50 different kinds of Tai Chi out there? Especially if you were to go to the Eastern Hemisphere, you're going to encounter lots of different styles of Tai Chi. They all come from different families, and they have a lot of things in common. In fact, all Tai Chi is not just related, but it's almost like the difference between identical and non-identical twins. They're sort of came from the same egg, but they just don't look 100% alike. All right? But the particular style I'm going to teach you today is called Tai Chi Chih, is that third word. I don't know if you can see it. C-H-I-H is the way it's spelled, and it's pronounced Chih, like chuck wagon. I'm a nutritional counselor, so I think of things like that. But if you were to translate that phrase from Chinese into English, what you come up with is nothing more than knowledge of the supreme ultimate. You can tell right from the English translation of the name of this practice that it is nothing more than a moving meditation. In fact, it has been dubbed a moving mindfulness practice, which has everything to do with our health and wellness, we've discovered in the last decade or so, by some very important medical organizations in this country. I'm not going to name names, but we all know who they are. Very important organizations. If you were to translate the phrase Tai Chi Chuan, however, which is usually what most people mean when they say Tai Chi, they don't know they mean it, but they actually are sort of unconsciously abbreviating the full name Tai Chi Chuan to just say Tai Chi. If you translate that phrase from Chinese into English, what you come up with is Supreme Ultimate Fist. So you can tell right from the get-go the distinction between Tai Chi Chih and every other style of Tai Chi is that this is nothing other than a moving mindfulness practice, whereas all the other styles of Tai Chi are very meditative and can easily put you into almost like an altered level of consciousness. But all other styles of Tai Chi have what's known as martial application. So that means that if the hand moves like this, you want to follow that hand, because theoretically it's because there's a knife or like a bad guy coming at you from that side. Whereas when we're doing, in particular, style of Tai Chi, the hand might move like this, but there's no reason why you have to follow the hand, because this is nothing other than a moving mindfulness practice. And so there's no offense, there's no defense, there's no worries whatsoever. We are simply allowing the body to move along with the same sort of cosmic rhythms that the entire universe functions within. In fact, all of the governing principles of the universe, things like softness, slowness, circularity, expansion and contraction, those are all the same, what we call principles of movement or governing principles of Tai Chi Cha. So when you're doing Tai Chi Cha, one of the reasons why it improves your health is because it's reminding you how to move the way everything in the universe moves. We already know when we're born. We just slowly over time, because we're stressed out, we forget. So all that being said, why don't we begin? In fact, you might have noticed I'm sitting in a chair today. Often I'm standing. The thing of it is, truthfully, I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm tired. And I taught 3 different Tai Chi Cha classes yesterday. I already taught this morning. And this afternoon, I'm going to be starting a 4-day Tai Chi Cha retreat. I'm hosting, actually, a 4-day advanced Tai Chi Cha retreat. And I know that even though it's going to be exciting and I'm going to learn a lot, and in many ways it's going to be relaxing, it's also going to be a little taxing. So I figured today would be a good day for me to show you once again Tai Chi Cha from the chair. So that's what we're going to do. And you know what? This is not Tai Chi Cha light. Just because we're sitting in the chair does not mean it's not anywhere near as powerful as when we're standing and moving. In fact, in many ways, I think learning how to do the seated practice, even if you don't need to do it in your chair, even if you're not chair bound, can be very, very beneficial, because in many ways the seated version of this practice informs the standing version. So, but before we do anything else, let's do a couple of moments of mindfulness. We're just going to sit here in our chair and we're going to begin by noticing the sensations of the sit bones resting against the chair. This is a very good time to begin to just notice those sensations, because we're going to notice them throughout our seated practice today. Okay? Just feel the sit bones resting against the hard surface of the chair. Not a bad idea to take a nice deep breath, because most of the time we're breathing pretty shallowly. So go ahead and take another nice deep breath all the way into the bottom of your lungs. Feel them blowing up like balloons. Here we go. When you exhale, just imagine you're blowing all that extra oxygen into all the nooks and crannies of your body. Go ahead and just place your hands on your knees. Notice the weight of your hands on your knees. And then pick a spot somewhere inside your body, preferably one you normally pay no attention to, like your breathing. That would be a good example. Or maybe the sensations of your sit bones resting against the chair. Your hands on your knees. Pick one. And we're going to call the bell. That's a fancy way of saying I'm going to ring it. And your whole job, until you hear me ringing it again, is simply to allow your attention to dwell on this one spot. And when it wanders, because that's what minds do, nothing is wrong. Just invite it back. It will probably comply. Okay, so here we go. Welcome back. In case you went on a little mental trip. Hey, you know what I'm noticing? I'm already warm. When I got here, I was chilly, so I'm just going to take this jacket off because I know I'm just going to get warmer. You know, one of the reasons why Tai Chi in general makes you healthier is because it helps the body activate more effectively and more copiously, you could say, all the energy that normally resides in your body. And we know that if you boil us all down to our absolute essence, we know this from physics actually, all we are is spinning molecules. We're made of nothing but spinning molecules. And so when you're doing Tai Chi, you actually activate and circulate that energy more effectively. And then when you come to the resting moments between the movements in this particular style, that's the only visual difference between this style of Tai Chi and pretty much all the others, then all that energy you just kicked up actually settles down in all the nooks and crannies of your body, especially your bones and your bone marrow, which, by the way, is the cradle of your immune system. So that's another reason why this particular style of Tai Chi is so good for your health, especially in the time of COVID. So, that being said, let's begin by doing rocking motion. The easiest way to do Tai Chi Cha in a chair is to really become aware of your sit bones resting in the chair. In fact, there's a model of the human pelvis down there on the floor. Do you see it? And in fact, I turned it a little bit today so you could see the curvy sit bones. Have you ever sat so long that your butt starts to hurt? Right? So you can see the sit bones, they come down to a curvy point right there. And all that pressure right there lands right in that one spot. Let's see. Let's say this is the chair. And here's that curvy sit bone resting right there. It's the weight of your whole upper body coming down to that point. And that's why it can get uncomfortable. But notice, again, it's curvy. So all we're going to do in almost all the movements here is roll forward a little bit on those curvy sit bones and roll back. And roll forward and roll back. In fact, I'm going to put one hand on my belly, below my belly button, and the other one here on the small of my back so you can see what happens in the belly when I roll forward and roll back. When I roll forward, you probably see my hand kind of expanding because the skin on the front of me slopes down and it actually makes me taller from my groin to my head when I roll forward. And when I roll back, you might notice that the curvy part of my back gets a little less curvy. It flattens out a bit. This hand contracts a little bit. And I actually get shorter from my groin to my head because this space shrinks up. So let's do this together a couple times. All right, here we go. We're going to roll forward. We're going to roll back. We're going to roll forward. We're going to roll back. And if you have any confusion whatsoever as to what you're doing here, I advise you to either sit on a rolling pin, which can hurt. Actually, I've tried it. It's painful. Or what's a lot more fun and a lot more forgiving is a pool noodle. You'll have no trouble rolling over a curvy surface if you have any trouble at all rolling over a flat surface. Let's do it a couple more times together. Rolling forward, rolling back, rolling forward, rolling back. Now this time just place your hands back here, and as we roll forward a little more slowly, you're going to let the forward roll just sort of blow your arms up like breeze on the willow branches. Here we go. Rolling forward, rolling back, rolling forward, rolling back. And this is called rocking motion. And this is the way we do it in the chair. It's very easy. You know, the Chinese have a saying. You might even crack open a fortune cookie one day and see this saying. We get really good at what we practice most. But I have a saying that goes along with that. You only practice what you like. So the trick in life is finding the things you like. And those are the things you'll practice, and then you'll get really good at them, right? So one reason why I love Tai Chi Chih is because it's so easy. Easy is fun, right? Who really likes to do hard things? I mean, compared to fun things, you're always going to choose the fun thing, right? Let's do a few more of these. Normally we just do 9, but there's nothing wrong with doing more than 9 of rocking motion. It's the warm-up movement. Let's do 2 more. And here's our last one. And letting the hands just float down to the knees. This is what we call the rest position when you're doing the practice seated. Right? Just feel your body at rest. Perhaps feel your feet on the floor, your sit bones on the chair, or maybe your hands resting on your knees. And once you feel that, then we move again. So let your hands come together, especially the space right here in the heel of the hands. You could maybe even visualize you've got a couple magnets in there, and they're drawing especially the heels of the hands close together. Okay? And you might even begin to feel something between your hands when they're close like this. If you do feel something, it's not your imagination. We call that polarity. In Tai Chi Chih speak, we call that polarity. So now when you roll forward, it's just going to send the lower part of your arms out like teeny weeny little bird wings. Here we go. And then as you roll back, let it draw those 2 magnetized palms back together again. Let's do it again. Now this time you're going to do a little circle in the air right where your wingtips landed, the last 2 flips. There we go. Nice. And we're going to do that whole series of 3 again. So just flick the little wings out there. By the way, this one is called bird flaps its wings. It should be called the teeny tiny bird flaps its teeny weeny wings, though, don't you think? Now with just the feathers, the tip feathers of your little wings, you're going to draw a circle in the air. And let the palms drift back together. Let's do it again. And again. Draw a circle in the air. Let the hands float down to the knees. Feel the body at rest for just a moment. And now we're moving on. We're going to do the third movement. It's called around the platter. And we're going to be into a whole series of movements that if you were standing, you'd be moving forward and back with one leg out. But since we're seated, all we're going to do is place the left foot out like an inch or 2. It's mostly a metaphor to help you remember what you'd be doing if you were standing, but also to help you remember which direction your hands are going to float out over that platter, which is now in front of your heart. Okay? So you placed your left foot out about an inch. You put your hands back here at the back of the platter. It's as if each one of your hands is resting on a ball of energy, maybe about the size of that shower scrubby. And the shower scrubby is on the platter. Okay? That holds your wrists in what we call an open position. Good. You know, every ancient culture really honors this position of the hands. Have you ever noticed someone, a priest or a pastor, when they're worshiping with their hands up like this, or up like this, or down like this? This is a very important position for the hands. A lot more energy will flow up and down the arms when the hands, palms, wrists, and fingers are in what we call the open position. Okay, so here we go. As we roll forward on those curvy sit bones, the hands are going to go out over that left leg because it's the one that's sticking out. and back over the right one, and out over the left one, and back over the right one. We're basically just drawing circles with the heels of our hands. If we were in water up to our hands, you'd be seeing a little circle on the surface of the water. In fact, it's not a bad thing to visualize yourself being in water. Then you can just imagine that maybe the currents are moving you around for you. As we always say, the best way to do Tai Chi Cha is with the effort of no effort. So the last thing we want you to do is work hard here. Let's do one more. And when you're done with this side, you just pull in the front foot and let the hands float down to the knees. Rest there for a moment. And then move on. We're placing the right foot out slightly, hands up at the back of the platter, and here we go. You know, we spoke a moment ago about ancient cultures. You know, did you also know all ancient cultures have a thing for the number 9? You can do all kinds of crazy, cool things with the number 9, you know. So, generally speaking, most of the Tai Chi Cha movements are done in series of 9s. But for many of them, they're mostly just 3 3s, like bird flaps its wings. We're going to do just one more of these. But in an effort to do the whole practice today, I'm going to shorten up the movements that have 9 repetitions to 6. Okay. Place your left foot out again, just a little bit, maybe an inch or 2. Hands back up to the back of the platter. Now we're going to do a round the platter variation, which starts just like around the platter, only right here in front of the left shoulder. Suddenly, there's a variation, and then there's not. And there it is again, and then there's not. Did you know everything in the universe is constantly moving in circles? You could call it orbits or seasons or a day or whatever you want to call it, but everything is moving in circles. That's one reason why Tai Chi makes you feel so good. We're going to do one more. Because every one of the movements has at least 1 or 2 body parts drawing circles in the air, right? It's like you get all these chances to experience it again and do it differently and learn more. It's really cool. Let's do the other side. Also, I just want to warn you, please don't count when you're working with me, because I'm a really rotten counter. All my personal training clients would tell you I'm a rotten counter. So most of the time I'm trying to use a really good guess, but I'm often incorrect. That's why you'll generally hear me saying, we're going to do one more. Or, let's call this 9. Let's do one more. We're going to call this 6. Feeling the body at rest for just a moment. And now we're going to move on to bass drum. Placing the left foot out just an inch or so. The hands are up to about chest height again, but now the palms are about shoulder width apart and facing each other. You can see it a little better this way. And as we roll forward on the sit bones, here come the fingers out and around. It's not quite as big a high school marching band bass drum as it would if we were standing, because there's less space between your knees and about your chin when you're sitting down than there is if you were standing. Now, even though this is called bass drum, maybe it's more like bass tambourine when you're seated. Let's do one more. Notice the sensations of the body at rest. And let's do the other side. Now, because there's so much less space when you're doing the seated form for your hands and arms, It's very important to relax the wrists and fingers and arms. That helps the drum and all the little circles we're drawing get a little bigger. If you held your arms very rigidly, the drum would naturally get smaller. Let's do one more. Feeling the body at rest. It's like you were stirring a pot of soup with a spoon, and then you remove the spoon and notice the swirling continues and eventually it stops. Now let's move on. We're going to do Daughter on the Mountaintop with the left foot out and just turn the palms over. Okay? So as we roll forward on those curvy sit bones, the hands come up as if they're going to clap, but then somehow they miss each other at the top and they simply fall. Yeah. And the left hand is the one that's closer to the body when they cross over. Now this is not like sword hands. This is the open palm all the way down, right? You can even let your fingers run off your thighs here, like raindrops dripping off. We're going to call this 6. Flowing back to rest. Other side. You probably already noticed that if we do something on one side, we generally do it on the other, right? Just like yin and yang. You see my little image of the Tao down here, the great Tai Chi, yin and yang. I really love that image because it's a tree of life. You notice how the root structure is as big as the leaf structure? We're going to do one more. Feeling the body at rest. You might be hearing me breathe kind of heavily because I have a wireless mic on. There's no prescribed breathing technique for any of these movements, by the way. You just do it the way it comes naturally to you. All right? Let's do Daughter in the Valley. All right? Another little distinction about Tai Chi Chih versus the other Tai Chi styles is, well, there's only 20 movements in Tai Chi Chih. There's less movements here than there are in many, many, many styles of Tai Chi. Many of them have 108 or more. But there's no rigid requirement that you do all 20 of them. There's no requirement that you do all the reps of all 20. Obviously today I'm shortening it. We're going to do one more. Feeling the body at rest. Now we're doing the other side. But there's also no particular rule saying you have to do them in order. A lot of times I'll mess it up just because I want to, because I'm feeling playful. If you zoom in on this poster I have back here, you'll see that the headline says Tai Chi Chih, moving meditation, or joy through movement. So the subtitle for this lovely practice is Joy Through Movement. It's supposed to be fun. We're going to do one more and we're going to call this 6. Feeling the body at rest for just a moment. And then moving on. Now, sandwiched right in the middle of a whole bunch of forward-backward movements is this one single side-to-side movement. But the flowing, the weight shift is really very much the same, especially when you're standing. When you're seated, though, there's a lot of things in common as well. So let's go ahead and do carry the ball to the side. So rather than placing one foot forward, we're just going to leave our feet where they are. And rather than rolling forward and back on our sit bones, we're actually going to rotate the whole body from sit bone to collarbone. I always say from bone to bone. Okay? And the way that you know that you've done that properly, rather than twisting or wringing your lumbar spine, which actually doesn't have much of a twisting capability. You can injure yourself if you try to really twist that lumbar spine. So just stick your hands out like you're going to shake hands with both hands, and then turn the entire body from sit bone to collarbone to your right. Let's do it together. And when you do that, do you notice that the weight kind of shifted mostly into one sit bone? Like for me, I feel more pressure on my left sit bone than my right just now. And I also notice that my left knee just slid forward a little bit, and my left shoulder is farther forward, and my left hand is actually farther forward. That's how you know you've shifted your whole body from bone to bone. Okay? Let's come back to the beginning. All right? Just shift the whole body to the right. See how this shoulder went back? Just put this hand up back here, like I'm going to wave. Put the other hand in front of it. And now suddenly you're holding a ball, the same size ball that you held for around the platter variation, only over here by your right shoulder. And it's like you're turned back a little bit that way. Now we're going to rotate towards your left, and just let the rotation and the turning of your whole body from bone to bone pull your arms along for the ride. All right, here we go. And back again. Nice. We're going to do this 3 times. And then we're just going to float down to rest. And then we're going to do it again. I broke that into pieces so you can kind of see how I did that. And the way that you know that you're turning your whole body from bone to bone is you're going to see one knee slide forward, and then the other, and then the other. And you're going to feel the weight shifting from sit bone to sit bone. Let's do it again. Nice. Floating down to rest for just a moment. This movement has a few moments of mindfulness built into it. That's kind of cool. And here we go on the other side. Because what we do on one side, we generally do on the other. Back to rest. Beginning again. Floating back to rest. Last time. It's like let your body kind of corkscrew up. See how the turning of the body sends the hands up there. And the turning of the body pulls the hands along for the ride. That's the easiest way to do the effort of no effort. Let the body move your arms for you. Floating back to rest. Just noticing the body at rest for a moment. And now we're going back to a couple forward-backward moves. We're going to begin with push-pull. Place your left foot out just a little inch or so. Hands up to the shoulders now. And as you roll over the front edge of those curvy sit bones, let that forward sort of weight shift push the hands out. And the backward weight shift, pull them back. Let's do it again. And that's why this is called push-pull. We're going to do one more. Feeling the body at rest for just a moment. And then moving. You notice we're still drawing circles Our circle is just this way now. And a little smushed-er, a little more smushed. The hands come up and turn around so they can keep on moving without stopping. And they drop and turn around. It's very circular. Let's do one more. Feeling the body at rest. All the sensations in the body are perfectly good. And now we're doing pulling in the energy with your left foot out. Hands are on the bottom of that same platter we used for around the platter now. Fingers up. Palms and fingers up. Here we go. Flowing out over that outstretched leg and back over the other one. And this movement is the only one of the 20 with a guided visualization along with it. So if you like, you can visualize energy from the most distant star flowing into your body through each one of your fingertips, almost like 10 little straws, just drawing it in there. And this is number 6. Other side. Here we go. Nice. One more. Feeling the body at rest. Now we're into a whole bunch of movements that are all related to one single particular movement pattern called pulling taffy. Rub your hands together. Let's see if you can experience some of this before we even start to move. And then cross your hands over each other, almost like you're making an X. Letting them pass by each other, maybe ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch apart. I feel nothing until the hands are hovering right over each other. Then I feel a lot of heat, and then I feel nothing again. In fact, if you could see my hands right now, you'd see that the fingertips are turning purple. This is really pumping a lot of energy into the hands, just doing this part. So that's what we're going to be doing with our hands when we're doing all the pulling taffy gestures. Here's the basic one, okay? We're going to turn the body to the right from bone to bone. And notice how your left shoulder came forward. This shoulder sending a signal down this arm to cross the belly. Okay? The other arm is just going to sneak up on top of the arm that already crossed the belly. And then as you turn the other way, the hands are going to separate. And as you come back to the middle, it's going to pull the hands back and just let them float down to your knees. Let's do the other side. The underhand first, the other one goes on top. Pulling taffy. And back to rest. We're going to do 2 more sets of this. Nice. Again. One more time. You can even imagine silk between your hands. Just feel the smoothness of the silk. Brush your hand down that long piece of fabric. Or maybe you're holding a cat in your arms. Here's his head. Pet the cat all the way down to the tip of its tail. And then rest. Feel the body at rest. Now we're going to do a variation of pulling taffy. This one's called anchor taffy. It would make more sense about the anchor part if I were standing up, but we don't need to worry about that right now because we're not standing, okay? It's going to begin the same. Place the underhand first. We know it's going to be your left hand because the left shoulder came forward when you turned your whole body to the right. The other hand slides up on top. Now we're going to just roll forward over those sit bones a little bit. It's like this hand comes out. It's almost like I'm passing a tray of cookies to the guy in front of me. And he doesn't want one, so I say, okay. I come back and I just rest. Now we're going to do the whole pulling taffy thing the way we normally do. Turning from bone to the right, and then turning to the left. Nice. Now we got to do what we did on one side, we got to do it on the other. Would you like a cookie? Okay, no problem. Now we got to go back to the beginning. Let's do 2 more sets. Remember how I said most of these movements are done in series of 9, but some of them are 3 sets, right? Carry the ball to the side is a good example of 3 sets of 3. It says bird flaps its wings. But the taffy gestures are just 3 sets. If you were to add up all the repetitions, with the first one you're going to get 6. On the second one, that's 2 times... well, you're going to get extra because we have to go forward first. Let's do 1 more set. This will be our 3rd set. Good. I guess total you got 12 gestures here with anchor taffy, right? 4 times 3, yeah. With regular pulling taffy, you've got 6 whole gestures, 3 times 2, yeah. All right, now we're going to do wrist circles taffy. All right, so it's very important you get back in touch with the sit bones on this one. Just feel yourself rolling backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. This time when you drop backwards, let the fingers drop. When you come forwards, let the fingers come up and forward. Then roll back, they drop. Come up and forward. This time when you roll back, you're going to turn the whole body to your right and it's going to sweep the left arm across. And then you're going to pull taffy, just like you already know how to do. Let's do it again. As you roll back over the sit bones, the fingers drop. As you roll forward, the fingertips come forward. Just the tips of the fingers. That's why it's called wrist circles rather than arm circles. But here, it's like the whole turning of the body is going to blow the arms together like willow branches and then blow them apart again. Let's do it again. I'm pretty sure we only did 2 sets, so we're going to do a 3rd. I told you I'm a bad counter. I'm sorry. No matter what I do, I just can't seem to turn myself into a good counter. You know? You are what you are, and as you age, you just get more so of what you already are. Here we go. The good news is doing things like Tai Chi makes you not really care about stuff like that. Stop shooting yourself to death quite as much if you do a lot of Tai Chi, right? Feeling the body at rest. Okay, now we're going to do perpetual motion taffy. I'm going to show it to you one hand at a time. Okay? You remember when you were kids? We used to, when we were bored, we would stand up, we would stand up and just kind of do this. You remember how we used to do that? When we're bored. I've never met a kid that doesn't do this from time to time. Okay, so when you're doing perpetual motion taffy standing, you're essentially doing that. And when you're doing it seated, you're essentially doing that. Okay, only you let the arms glide over each other. So let's just do it one hand at a time while seated, okay? Going to turn the whole body from bone to bone to your right, and it pulls the left arm across the body. Then as you turn to your left, it pulls the right arm across the body. Yes. It's like I want to throw a frisbee that way, I have to wind up the other direction first. And vice versa. And you're going to feel your weight shifting from butt bone to butt bone. And you're going to notice one knee sliding forward and the other sliding back. Guess what? We're going to add the second arm. So the other one glides up on top. If there is a trick to this, it would be the trick of no tricks. I'm going to show you what it is. When you start to turn, the hands start to separate. But when they get about thigh distance apart, they exchange positions, and they start to slide back together again, so that by the time you get all the way over to the other side, the arm of the shoulder that's forward has already slid underneath. All right, let's go back again. When you get about thigh distance apart, the hands change places, so when you continue gliding towards your right, the right arm just slides underneath and is ready to go. All right, here we go. I'm going to do it quietly, 6 reps. You're going to copy along. If you get your lefts and rights confused, so what? Just enjoy the ride. By the way, did I tell you there's no such thing as bad Tai Chi? And no Tai Chi police will ever come and take you away, okay? Just have a good time. Here we go. All Tai Chi is good Tai Chi. It just keeps getting gooder as time goes by. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. We only get really good at what we practice most. And we only practice what we like. So one way to find things that we like is to find things that are easy. And I think this is probably the 6th set, so we're going to call it number 6. And we're going to end right here by feeling the body at rest in the chair for just a moment. Now we're going to do working the pulley, which is super easy to do in a chair. Oh my word. It's kind of like swimming through really heavy air, or maybe really dense fog, or maybe even the lightest bit of water. Okay? But rather than cutting through the water, which would be work, right? Wait till you see what happens with the hands. So just place your left hand up. Okay? Go ahead and place your left foot forward 1 inch. It's really a metaphor. It's just a metaphor. Turn your other hand towards the sky. Okay? We're going to sort of roll forward, and this hand will come forward, of course, but you're also going to turn the body a little bit away from this hand. And when we do that, notice what happens with this elbow. It goes behind the body a little bit. That's why you really need to do Tai Chi in a chair with no arms, because the arms can really get in the way. Okay? Let's come back. We're just going to do this a couple times so you start to feel that the turning waist will actually get this arm behind you a little bit. Here we go, like this. And back. And this. And back. Okay, this time we're going to let it really flow. Like this. Nice. So here's what I mean about the hand floating through really heavy air, or maybe slow motion the way you move in a dream. See how the fingers kind of flow back behind the heels of the hand. Look at that open palm. Nice. Last one. And let the hands just float down to the knees. You pull that outstretched foot back in. Feel the body at rest. Let's do the other side. It's like I'm going to just sort of maybe push a little pie, a little teeny weeny pie towards someone. And then I'm going to carry it back very level so I don't drop it. And then I push another one with the other hand. We're like a little pie throwing machine. Of course, this is called a work in the pulley, because you might also notice that it's as if there's a pulley in front of each shoulder and one behind. And you can see the fingers kind of tracing along the string that attaches them, like an old-fashioned clothesline. Let's do one more. And we're going to fall back to rest. Feel the body at rest. We're going to do a movement that's sort of a combination movement called light at the top of the head, light at the temple. We're going to scoop up a little bit of chi and bring it all the way up to the top of the head. All right. Then we're going to roll back over the sit bones. And when we roll forward, it's like we windshield wiper the hands. It's almost like you're sending down roots, and then suddenly a tulip appears. Let's do one more. Now with your body in complete neutral, you're just going to pull your energy up and out. Let the palms slide by each other, rotate past each other for about 6 seconds. Then hold for an equal length of time, about 6 seconds. Then we're going to sink and rise. You could look at it as contraction, expansion. One more time. Right hand under the left. Kind of fold the energy in on yourself. Let your hands float down to your knees. Feel the body at rest for just a moment. And let's do the second half. We're going to scoop up the chi, bring it all the way up to the temples. Which is funny because the name of the movement is light at the top of the head, light at the temple, but it's the temples of your head. Here we go. Sinking down. Expanding a bit. Rolling back. Rolling forward. One more time. Now, mix forward for about 6 seconds. Then hold for an equal length of time. And roll back over the sit bones. Roll forward. Roll back. Roll forward. One more time. Hands circle all the way around. Kind of fold the energy in on yourself. Sink back down to rest for just a moment. And now we're going to do something called joyous breath. We're going to use sort of a yoga breath. If you're familiar with yoga, you might have heard someone refer to a particular kind of breathing as ujjayi breath or ocean breath. It's like you're doing this, but with your lips closed. So it sounds like this. Okay? So you are expelling the air out of your nose with your lips closed, but you're feeling and making a sound in the back of your throat at the same time. So here we go. We're going to first exhale all that air using that type of breath out of your lungs as you roll back over your sit bones, and your hands are going to sink down too. Here we go. And as you roll forward, you're going to inhale, and the hands will rise up to about shoulder height, and then turn them over, and we're going to push everything out of our lungs using that special breath in 4 chunks, and the hands are going to fall in 4 chunks too. Again. This is very invigorating. One more time. And then just sink back to rest. So there are 2 exceptions to that whole you don't need to worry about doing the Tai Chi Chuan movements in order rule, the rule of no rules. If you do one daughter, you should do the other, because you could tell when we were doing them, they're very complementary movements. One's like unzipping a jacket and the other one is zipping it back up, right? Also, if you do light at the top of the head, light at the temple, you should follow it up with joyous breath. You can do joyous breath at other times, but you shouldn't do this one without that one. This joyous breath grounds you again after you've really been up clouds, okay? Now we're going to do passing clouds, which I showed you a little bit at the beginning. All right. Now, one distinction about this movement, it's the only side-to-side movement that begins with a weight shift to your left rather than to your right. So you're going to turn your whole body from bone to bone to your left, and that causes the left hand to rise. It's as if I'm high-fiving that wall over there. Okay, we're just going to leave this guy here until it's time to come in. Then as we turn the body back to the right, the hand will come along for the ride. And then as I turn back to the left, here comes the right hand. So you might notice this is exactly the same movement that we did when we were doing carry the ball to the side, only the hands are moving independently now. And actually, when you're doing passing clouds this way in the chair, boy, it really looks like a lot of different classic Tai Chi Chuan movements, all of which have the word cloud in them, like wave hands like clouds, cloud hands. And this is number 6. And you're just going to allow the hands to float down to the knees. Feel your body at rest. And we're going to end with a move, or not end, almost end, with a movement called 6 healing sounds. It's somewhat esoteric, and I could spend at least a half hour just telling you about all the nuances related to 6 healing sounds. So I'm just going to tell you how to do it. Just copy me, and all will be well. Remember, there's no such thing as bad Tai Chi, only good and gooder. Okay? So we're going to begin by allowing the left hand to come forward by itself, and we're going to aspirate the sound ho. So rather than saying ho, like ho, 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 like Santa Claus, it's going to be like this. Ho. If you had your hand in front of your mouth, you would feel breath on your hand. Tien, on your belly, below the belly button, you would feel it clenching a little bit. Ho. Okay? So here we go. Left hand going forward, aspirating the sound ho. Ho. Both hands with the sound hu. We're going to sweep to the left with the sound su. Su. Now right hand with the sound sh. Sh. Both hands with the sound shi. Shi. We're going to sweep back to the right with the sound chui, like we with a ch in front of it. Chui. Left hand with the sound ho. Ho. Both hands with the sound hu. Hu. Sweep to the left with a su. Su. Right hand with the sound sh. Sh. Both hands with the sound shi. Shi. Sweep to the right with a chui. Chui. One more time. Left hand. Ho. Both hands. Hu. Sweep left. Su. Right hand. Sh. Both hands. Shi. Sweep right. Chui. Now we're going to do continuous chuis. Chui. This is just like perpetual motion shifting. Chui. Perpetual motion taffy, I should say. Chui. One more time. Chui. And we're just going to rest here for a moment, feeling the body at rest. Feel the energy slowly, slowly, slowly slowing down and coming to rest. It's a very invigorating movement. And we're going to end today with the 20th movement, which isn't a movement, it's a pose. In fact, it's called Cosmic Consciousness Pose. If you were standing, you would see that's the only Tai Chi Cha movement that you only do on one side, right? But we're seated. So it's not going to look quite the same. We're just going to do the upper body part, okay? So you simply let the arms rise, so that the elbows, wrists, fingers are all pretty much on the same level as your shoulders. And this shouldn't feel like any work. Remember, this is the work of no work. So you can either visualize a little invisible marionette string suspending the different body parts from the heavens, or you can just imagine you're resting your forearms on an invisible countertop that suddenly appeared in front of you. And we're simply going to relax here, feeling the body at peace. You can let your eyes gaze wherever they want, either at your fingers, which overlap, by the way. The left ones are the ones that are closer to the body, or beyond. I kind of like to do a little bit of both. That's a very interesting perspective for just a few moments. And then eventually you let your hands float back to your knees. We're going to end with a few more moments of mindfulness, just a few. I know I'm running over by a moment or two, but that's okay. There's no such thing as Tai Chi police. I guarantee I'll be back in 2 weeks. No one will have taken me away in the meantime. Check in with the body. Take a little mental index of your interior landscape. Notice what's going on in there. Pick a spot somewhere inside that you normally pay no attention to and let your attention dwell there while we call the bell. And your whole job until you hear the bell ring again is simply just be there. Let us begin. So that was really lovely. And I will be back in about 2 weeks. I'm going to be here pretty much every other week. It ends up being two Thursdays a month until at least April, maybe May. And then perhaps I'll be here every week after that. And again, I am Jessica Lewis. And I am absolutely delighted to have been here today to show you Tai Chi Chuan, my absolute favorite Tai Chi practice of all. And I am accredited and certified to teach a couple different kinds. And the name of my company is Sculpt Your Life, spelled the way you'd expect it to be spelled. Y-O-U-R, Sculpt Your Life. And if you Google me, Jessica Lewis or Sculpt Your Life or some combination of those two, 99.5% of the time, I'm the only one that pops up. But truth be told, when I went to buy the domain, Sculpt Your Life, spelled the way you'd expect it to be spelled, umpteen years ago, it was already taken. So I do spell my website a little bit differently. It's www.sculpt, S-C-U-L-P-T, urlife.com. My millennial-aged daughter thought that would be the right thing to do, so I followed her advice. Anyway, thank you all so much. I wish you nothing but health, peace, and all good, not just today, but always. And I look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.